The podcast with Dwayne Jackson will commence briefly, but I'm taking this moment right now to let you guys know that my new website is now live and the merch has dropped. New merch, check it out. Enjoy the podcast after that. Hi everybody on my YouTube channel. This is Antoine, Vaillant, of course, and I'm with my health expert and friend, Dr. Dwayne Jackson. And so Dwayne's helped me with my prep for the Vancouver Pro and Chicago Pro. And your role is pretty much, you want to explain what your role is in the prep? And he's also the health expert, chief health expert at, well, there's only one, I guess he is the chief, at Team HD, and also formulates the HD muscle supplements. So, but why, so what's your role, like as a health expert, what do you do?
Yeah, well, I guess I oversee all of the health aspects of the sport, or at least try to, help athletes like yourself remain healthy or as healthy as possible. Not just so much for, longevity in life, but also so that when we're going through the preps, that they're actually effective and we can use less compounds. Our diets actually make sense when we're eating them. We can actually predict what's going to happen because healthy bodies, grow healthy muscle.
Yeah, it's true because a lot of people would think that the healthy approach is the one that would give the less results. And when I had to make a lot of sacrifices and just a lot of changes in my diet as it happened and in the prep itself, and I was like, is it gonna work? I'm taking less stuff, I'm eating more fruits and things like that, and then ultimately I was even better. So I guess healthy bodies do perform better, obviously. When I say it like that, it makes sense. But sometimes as a bodybuilder, you'd rather sacrifice health for gains, but it was probably a point of diminishing return at some point.
Absolutely. In fact, that's why at the beginning, I remember when I pulled all the compounds, you're kind of like, what? But the whole idea is that any sort of receptor-mediated response from any drug that we use over time diminishes because the receptors internalize and whatnot. And these are the ways that the body kind of defends against, I guess, foreign substances overdriving these receptors. So the whole idea behind the way we've taken your preps is to back off on the PEDs so that we can actually let all those receptors return to the surface so that we can actually activate them when we go into the prep period. And having that healthy diet behind it means that your inflammation's low, all your blood lipids are bang on, blood glucose is bang on, and we need all that because if we have inflammatory issues or any sort of stress issues with the body's not going to respond to the diet or the PEDs the way we want them to. So at the end of the day, you get away with using less stuff but getting greater effects, and that way as we push toward the show day or peak week, then every compound that we use actually has a purpose and it does its thing.
Yeah, and when you talk about receptors, I've heard that a lot in the past. So where are they in the body? Is this just everywhere in the cells? Each cell has a receptor, and what does it look like? Is it, and why do people who take a lot of stuff for a long time, why are the receptors not working or weak or something? How does it work? Because I never actually thought about the receptor. How does it look like? Where is it? And what does it do?
Yeah, so in kind of the most basic sense, the receptors that we're talking about are androgen receptors, and they respond to obviously these compounds that we utilize, and they're kind of located ubiquitously or throughout the body. So that's
what, in a gland, in my armpits? No, because there's glands that I'm just saying. I don't know what they are. So these receptors, the ones we're interested in, are located in skeletal muscle. In the muscle cell.
Yeah, but they're also located throughout the body, and that's why we see hypertrophy in different parts of the body over time that we.
So there's no receptors in between my legs.
Yeah.
It doesn't grow.
Those do not grow on the compounds. That's right. Yeah. In fact, actually, the feedback loops offered by the receptors in the brainstem and whatnot are what end up decreasing the signals for your boys to do their job, and that's why we see them shrink. So.
Well, I'm lucky with that, I guess.
Yeah, so we've got them in the brain, we've got them, in skeletal muscle, we've got them in our heart, we've got them in our digestive tract.
Okay.
So really, when we use a compound, intramuscularly or even orally, we're going to see, a global effect across the whole body.
Okay, so it's in the cells.
In the cells, on the surface, cell surface receptors.
Cell surface. So there's the cell, And the receptors are like kind of like on the wall.
That's right. Yeah, that's where they
Gotcha.
sit. Yeah.
Now I'm making it simple because for myself, I guess.
Yeah, and then they're linked to all those anabolic responses that we want to see inside the cell, which is mTOR
it's like
increases.
the little bridge there, like they're like little puzzles and they fit in the little keys. But no, I know I have an image in my head. But the thing is that in school, high school, I knew all the names of the like mitochondria,
Is the powerhouse of the cell.
Is it?
There you go. It certainly is.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, where did she read that? Where is it?
She memorized that. Everybody memorizes that for biology.
Everyone remembers that.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I had a French version. Mitochondrie.
Le meilleur.
That was French. But
Yeah. But, so that's interesting. But so what happens when the people take it for too long? Like, why is it less effective? Or is it less effective? Is it just a rumor? Why would it not work as well if you take it for a long time? Or
Well, so when we're talking, it depends on when we're talking about, real TRT versus supraphysiological dosing. So when someone's using it for TRT, then we don't see such internalization if we're using it properly because we're actually basically we're just replacing the natural response, and the natural response shuts off, right? And that's why, like I said, the gonads get a little smaller.
the balls. Yeah, but that's genetics, right? Some people, they just can't keep them.
No, that's not genetics.
Huh?
That's bullshit. No, it's not genetics.
your balls seem normal.
Yeah, it's probably because they're probably this big.
Oh, they would be this big. They would be like huge.
They've been massive.
God damn, I'm missing out.
Although Antoine's kind of an interesting cat because your blood work and everything is so good that it's really tough to actually make a call on you. But generally speaking, the reason why we see the testicles shrink or the balls shrink when we're using androgens is because we shut off the hypothalamic responses that then release
Well, the body's like,
FSH
hey,
and LH.
somebody else is doing my job, so I'll just stop working.
Yeah, shut off the luteinizing hormone and follicle stimulating hormone, and then that way we shut down both the testicular size as well as spermatogenesis, which is the production of sperm.
Yeah, so that's cool. We kind of went on a tangent there, but see, that's why I'm working with him because I learned stuff and he's keeping me healthy and the performance is great. And I guess for this year's Olympia, we're gonna just do the same thing we did, but just like keep getting better. And so why did you end up being like very knowledgeable about all that stuff? Because obviously your studies was it general practice, but then you did some special studies in certain things.
Yeah, I know. So my background is mainly systemic physiology, which so it basically is the how all of the organs interact with each other in the body.
Oh.
Which is a very unique education now because once the whole molecular thing came into the scene, molecular physiology kind of became the I guess the order of the day in academia. So having this like systems physiology background, as well as competing as a bodybuilder since I was like 17 years old and being a former pro athlete before that in motocross, I kind of I've been kind of around a while in the game.
Yeah.
So
You were just very interested in that too.
100%. Like my passion's always been sport and human performance enhancement through diet. PEDs were always really interesting for me. Everything that's related to it. So.
Yeah, and then you did, I guess, lots of research, and then
did like 17 years of research beyond my doctorate, and then and those are in the cardiovascular sciences.
So what's how do you do a research? You just study in the medical books?
No,
I mean, like you go on the internet, you sit down with your coffee and you research.
No, that's how everybody thinks research is now. Yeah. Now there are people, like, with all due respect, there are people who don't have labs that do research, and they do very valuable research. But I did lab benchtop research. So I had a couple laboratories, yeah, and I just recently left that scene, right? So last September.
Oh, really?
So yeah.
So you had a lab coat.
I definitely had several lab coats, yeah, and we had a big lab. We had a big human and animal program looking at cardiovascular disease, stress, cancer, kind of everything under the umbrella of sympathetic nerve activity, autonomic nervous system control, and
So how many dead bodies have you seen in your life?
Oh, we've cut up a lot of dead bodies, that's for sure, in the
like
cadaver labs.
dozen?
Yeah. Probably more than a dozen. Yeah.
Was that weird the first time?
Yeah.
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's really weird too because you can't get the smell like of the formaldehyde and everything else.
The formal.
Yeah. All the preservation agents get into the skin, and you kind of.
Yeah, I know. I remember there was a embalmer in English. It's the guy who fills the dead people with that for the presentation in embalmer. It's like, you know, with the
Embalmer.
yes. So I guess it's a similar word, but there was one that was a member at a gym I used to work at when I was younger, and he would come in and his hands were like all chaffed or something, and he smelled like formaldehyde.
That's that smell. Yeah.
I was like, man, and the thing is, like, the place was like right in front of the gym, so you would just walk and come train, right? And I always thought that was that weird job. I guess at least he didn't cut him.
Yeah, the strangest part about working with cadavers, right,
Yeah.
is like, so not embalming, but that's already been done.
Yeah.
Is and I'm sure a lot of the listeners have taken cadaver labs, but the weirdest part when you first see it is the actual fact that when you realize that we're just a big slab of beef,
Yeah.
and you start peeling back the layers of beef, and it's just like, you know, kind of looks like
It's like a meat
cow.
robot, and
meat,
instead of
yeah.
metal, it's just like calcium bones or
Yeah.
something. It's like, what the hell? And so you realize that what really makes us alive is like it's not even tangible.
Absolutely.
So
Yeah,
there's the
yeah.
brain that with all the electronics, like the computer power and all the muscles, but it's like, what's actually alive? You can't even touch it. This is
Yeah, it's all
where
cellular.
we go beyond the medicine, right? well, it's true.
Well, I mean, yeah, we do look at the cells. Like, so the stuff I did was microscopy, so I could see things that were, you know, very like a blood vessel that was 1/5 the thickness of one of your hairs. I would actually be able to like come in with tools and do stuff with.
Oh wow.
So it's pretty crazy what we can do actually in the medical field.
So
now
where is
optics.
consciousness in the body?
Well, it's not in the balls.
No, it's not.
Even if you're a master.
Sometimes I feel like they are in the balls. It's just, you know.
Oh well, decision making's in the balls for sure for males, but the consciousness part isn't.
anymore.
That's why it's so difficult.
Yeah, I know. Well, that's cool though. That's very cool. So, yeah, and I guess you got really good at all because you were studying for 17 years, all the interaction between the organs, and yourself had problems with your own organs, obviously, because I think we talked about that in the last podcast we did or video, where you had like a kidney transplant.
I had a kidney transplant. Yeah. So
So how did you get there? Like, what's the
how did I get there?
Yeah.
Well, let's go from the beginning, eh? Yeah. No. So yeah, kidney. So basically, I busted all my bones. So I've broken at least one of every bone. Like, I've broken my collarbones 5 times on each side. You know, I've broken one of every bone except for a femur, which is good. In my body, at least one of every bone.
Well, the major bones.
Yeah, like, yeah.
Because there maybe there's some bones you didn't break. Like in the foot, there's like 1 million bones or something. You didn't break all the bones in the foot.
But your foot bone's connected to the ankle bone, right?
Oh, so you broke your ankle.
I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
No, I've broken my feet up pretty bad. I've broken my ankles up
Okay,
pretty
so
bad.
pretty much anything that moves,
fib,
all the joints.
Knees have been reconstructed 2 times
Really?
each. Biceps have been reinserted. Broke my
Yeah, you
humerus.
tore
I
your
got a
both
rod in
bicep,
that.
right?
Yeah, so, you know, so I wrecked all the musculoskeletal stuff, and I figured, you know, I better lay off that. So then I started picking on my organs, or maybe they're just the last thing to break. But
Yeah.
But anyway, no. So yeah, so I had a kidney transplant actually 2 years ago on this Thursday.
Oh,
So
wow.
my 2-year anniversary. Yeah.
Happy kidney birthday.
Thanks.
I
Yeah.
actually met the guy who gave his kidney.
What?
Yeah.
Yeah.
When?
At the show last weekend.
Yeah.
He was, oh, that's my friend who gave me the kidney. I was like, yeah, that's a good friend.
Yeah. Heroes exist. That's right. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. That was cool. The guy was so casual. Yeah. Just chill. You know, came in to see Dr. Khan, I think,
Yeah,
for
yeah,
some.
for a shoulder problem.
Yeah, for
Yeah. So he
therapy.
was a big guy. He was
Oh, yeah.
he was a 270, 280 pounder.
So,
he's a
so
big-
his
big
kidney
muscle.
was working well.
His kidneys were working well, and that was wicked about getting the kidney from him, because we were body weight matched. Like, I was 260 when my kidneys
Okay.
failed, and so we're body weight matched, diet matched pretty much. We were roommates, so we ate pretty much the same thing when we were in college, and so it was really kind of an honor to have this kidney from this guy that, you know, was used to the lifestyle. So to speak,
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know.
So it's a kidney with experience.
Kidney with experience.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah, and then, yeah, so I guess you did a few mistakes leading up to that, and
Yeah, I made a couple of mistakes along the way, and those mistakes I've learned from. And in fact, it's kind of funny how it doesn't really matter how much education you have. It doesn't really matter how smart how big your IQ is and everything else. If you're driven to do something, denial is the most powerful tool. It doesn't matter if it's a good thing, a bad thing, or neither.
Yeah, well, if you get obsessed with something, you kind of forget about everything else and whatever consequences it could happen. Like I did that. I was obsessed. Like people know I had a drug addiction and did a lot of rehabs. But when I was obsessing over picking up drugs, like I could lie to my own mother, and I did. So I get it,
Yeah, absolutely. And you lie to yourself. You lie to everybody around you when you're in denial of anything.
Yeah, so I'm fine. I could stop whenever I want. Then I tried. Then I tried for the first time to stop, and I couldn't. I was like, oh man, it's not good.
Yeah. So bodybuilding kind of. I would say it was like a few things, like bodybuilding, and then the stress of my job at the university and whatnot, kind of compiled on each other, because I was competing all the way through while I was a professor and while I was doing research.
Yeah.
And
so I guess if you don't sleep as much,
stress, studying.
You were like using your whole body like a F1 racing car and just never doing a pit stop.
Yeah, that's a good. Actually, now's the pit stop, right?
Yeah, pit stop happened.
You get an extra tire.
You kind of crashed, and you didn't have a choice to change it.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So it's good. It's good because, to be honest, like, kidney disease isn't going anywhere. It's something that's very prevalent in our sport. A lot of the guys that are dropping dead of heart disease are dropping dead mainly because of the fact that if their heart's fine, they have high potassium from kidney disease that goes undiagnosed. So
it's fair to say that a lot of heart attacks are caused by the kidneys.
Absolutely, because the kidney is a major aspect of the cardiovascular system, and when it basically stops functioning properly, a lot of people, especially with FSGS, which is the type of kidney disease that most of us as bodybuilders get, it generally, we see potassium levels go up. And then you don't really feel if potassium goes up. I had to go up, to detrimental levels a few times when I was before dialysis.
So what does it feel like when it goes up and you have to notice yourself?
You'll have a few arrhythmias, but it doesn't really, so your heart will beat a little weird.
Okay.
But it's not something you really notice so much. A lot of bodybuilders, when they take a lot of high stim pre-workouts, they'll have arrhythmias. So you don't really think of it as something that's detrimental. But if potassium gets too high, that's when we see the heart stop, and that's why they use it for euthanization of prisoners and whatnot.
They don't inject lead anymore, huh?
No more lead.
No more lead. Why lead before? Like, why did they use that? Do you know?
They never injected lead. They injected it with a gun. That's the only way you inject lead.
A lead injection?
A lead injection is done with a bullet.
Oh, so it's an expression.
I guess.
I thought they would inject lead in the chair. So it is potassium. They inject potassium?
Potassium chloride and usually some other stuff. But yeah, potassium is kind of the, is my prediction that a lot of guys that end up dying of, heart attacks, they're likely in a state of, high potassium levels caused by either, kidney dysfunction or overuse of potassium-sparing diuretics, or both. And that's when you see people drop dead out. The night of the show they win because they're so dry, right?
Happens some competitors, but I never read into the what do you call that, post-mortem document. Yeah,
and they generally I don't think there would be a post-mortem, like they just on looking at whether it was kidney function problem or not or anything. If they know the heart stopped, they just say it was a heart attack and it's cardiac arrest. They don't
look further. How do you call the people that study the death after they're dead to find the real reason why? Autopsy. They don't do autopsies.
Well, they do autopsies, and that's how they figure that they had cardiac arrest.
But they don't go back to. They don't like dig.
They're not going to do a full-blown CSI investigation on the person's past indiscretions.
I guess so. Yeah. Wow. And I guess the main thing damaging the kidneys must be high blood pressure.
The main thing damaging the kidneys is high blood pressure, high blood glucose.
High blood glucose too.
Yeah. So you end up with this and this is why we really keep an eye on your lipids and everything else, because if we have high inflammation, high blood glucose, and high blood pressure,
It's a bad combo.
That is the combo.
So the inflammation marker, what's it called again?
HSCRP.
HSCRP. And then you got to check the A1C for the blood sugar.
That's right, and that gives like a global measure.
And then the daily blood sugar monitor you can do yourself.
Yep, which we have you doing every day.
Yeah. And what's the other thing you can check for the for that? I just said the inflammation. We got the
blood.
Oh, then the blood pressure. Check blood pressure with a blood pressure monitor, which I also do every day.
Yep.
So if you check these three, you can really get a good grasp of what's going on.
Yeah, and usually they kind of interact with each other. So if you have hypertension but you look relatively healthy, then I can pretty much predict that you're going to have some sort of issues with inflammation and your blood lipids at least.
Yeah, that's interesting. It's either if you don't care of yourself, have high blood pressure, it's either you're going to become type 2 diabetic or you're going to have kidney problems pretty much.
Well, that's why diabetes have a lot of kidney problems.
Oh, it's kind of related.
Yeah, and then you end up with a whole bunch of other issues like peripheral neuropathies. That's why guys with kidney disease and diabetes lose their legs.
Yeah, why? Because the circulation, it's like
circulation
sludge.
And nerve problems.
It's like the blood becomes sludge and doesn't come back up properly, pulls down in the leg. Is that what it is?
No, it's more so the fact that just the cardiovascular system's collapsing. So you're not getting that venous return back from the lower extremities, and you're not getting the blood flow to those lower extremities because just the high glucose ends up kind of messing up that system.
Yeah, I heard also that if you really have high blood sugar, it's like little crystals in the blood vessel. It kind of actually cuts the blood vessels. It's is that true?
Yeah, I mean your glycated hemoglobin, which is what you're measuring with HbA1c, ends up so basically you end up with candy-coated red blood cells. How's that?
Wow.
Candy-coated red blood cells.
Yeah, sweet blood.
Oh yeah.
Vampire must love that.
That's how they used to test it. They used to taste your blood, taste your urine.
Really? Yeah. So who was the doctor?
Yeah, Hippocrates would do that.
Who?
Yeah.
Hippocrates?
The father of medicine. He would have done that back in in Greece. He would have had you pee in a cup and.
And the blood too. And could you actually taste the difference?
Oh, you will if your blood sugar gets high enough. Absolutely.
You will. Sweet blood. And the urine, what would you taste? If there's too much urea, too much protein in it?
No, if you have glucose in your urine. Yeah.
Oh, you can have glucose in your urine too.
Oh yeah, you'll get it everywhere if you get it high enough.
I guess so, right? If it's just overflown.
Yeah.
Could you sweat sugar and
Because there's lots of people walking around with it's 18, 20 millimolar blood glucose. Yours is sitting at 5.6, 4.8. When I see it get to close to 6, I'm like, whoa, slow her down, right? And there's people 3 times that.
Oh wow.
Walking around and that would be undiagnosed probably. So.
Yeah, and so talk about blood pressure because I think that's one of the things that we talked about it last time too, but I think it's good to talk more about it. So what are besides PDs and whatever, a lot of sugar, what else people do without maybe knowing that would increase their blood pressure? Like coffee's one of them, right?
Well, coffee's kind of got an interesting. It's got a bad rap against pressure, but actual caffeine itself is a dilator, so it's not really something that's.
It's a dilator. I thought it was a constrictor.
No, it depends on where you're looking at it in the body, but the point is this, that caffeine, if you're a person that has a type A personality or you're generally stressed, which a lot of people end up using caffeine when they're like that, then what ends up happening, you get this cascade effect where you drink a coffee to stay awake, like I did for this podcast, and then you don't sleep well, right? And then you wake up in the morning, you drink a coffee, and you're already a stressy person, so you got to get on the road. You're relating to this right now, because you're kind of running behind. So you get on the road, and then you get to the gym or whatever, and you have a coffee. And that's kind of the behavioral effects that can affect blood pressure because you end up with the sleep problem, the stimulant problem, and it just keeps kind of...
So if you take coffee where you're kind of relaxed, going around, taking your time, you're fine. So pretty much stress is way worse.
Stress is the problem. Stress is the problem.
And coffee can be
and coffee exacerbates stress.
So even if you take 5 cups where you're not stressed, Or there's
lots of people who drink 5 cups before they go to bed and they get sleep perfectly fine. So it just depends on how you metabolize caffeine. I don't I have 150 milligrams of caffeine at 3 o'clock. So I'll have a little ultra, 3, And at 1 in the morning, I'm trying to figure out why I can't sleep. So
Yeah, but there's some. I find that because now the only stimulant I use is like the coffee. I use the Elite instead of the Ultra because I find that sometimes it's like too strong. Not that it's too strong, but I don't know. When I was younger, I used to pound everything like. There was these drinks like Red Lions. I would take 2 Red Lions,
The Red Lions.
caffeine pills, and God knows what from the under the kitchen sink, and I would like. I don't know what my pressure was, but yeah, I was.
Well, since we're on that topic, funny enough, you wonder how the kidneys blew it. I used to take 400 milligrams every day, 400 milligrams of caffeine, and at least 100 milligrams of ephedrine every day. Remember back when it was 25 milligram, dimetrodine 25.
Oh, you mean the Mawang? The Mawang was like the cat. No, is that a caffeine? The ephedra plant.
Yeah.
Was the ephedrine?
But I used to buy the goods, like the actual chemical ephedrine. It used to be called dimetrodine 25. And used to buy it behind the counter at Muscle Mag in like the 90s.
It's back then.
Yeah.
So behind the counter back then was
That's
like
right.
good stuff.
That's right. So I'd take like 4 of those before I trained.
Yeah, I just heard. I know that even the ephedrine HCl, the 8 milligram, they sell as a nasal something. Those are not good for the heart. I heard.
No, they're not. And I was taking like 3 of them.
So why
4 times a day?
Why is that? Why is it not good for the heart? Just
Because it's a beta stimulator. So a beta receptor stimulator, and so it drives the heart, and when it drives the heart, so you've heard of beta blockers, right?
Yeah,
this
which
does the opposite.
reduces
it reduces heart rate and cardiac output. When you take ephedrine, it actually drives the heart, so you end up with higher effects of cardiac output and heart rate, and because of that, then that's what drives blood pressure. Those are determinants of blood pressure. So
yeah, so the heart will beat faster.
Heart beats faster and harder.
And harder. Is that why you burn more calories? Is that the only reason why?
Well, it's not because your heart's beating harder. I mean, the heart's using more energy. But no, it's because it stimulates metabolism. But the main reason why people take it is because it's activating these beta receptors on fat cells.
On fat cells.
Then the fat cells release that fat as triglyceride in the blood.
So if you take a beta blocker, do you get less fat loss?
If you take it with a beta blocker?
No, if you take beta blockers, some people take them. So
yeah, so it depends on which beta blocker you're taking. So if you're taking like a ubiquitous one that just it binds, it's non-specific, it binds all beta receptors.
Oh, okay.
Then yes, it will.
Okay.
If you're taking one like say nebivolol or Bistolic, it's very specific to the heart, so you won't see the metabolic effects. However, the fact that you can't get your heart rate above say 90 beats per minute, even when you're exercising, makes it kind of prohibitive for those exercises that do help burn calories.
Wouldn't you tell me? Were you the one telling your story about you couldn't get your heart rate up?
That was me. Yeah.
So what was the story again?
Well, that was because I was taking beta blocker.
Oh.
So while I was going through kidney failure, I was on a beta blocker, and at the beginning, and my whole modus operandi was to get off that beta blocker because you just feel like shit all the time, right? And so once I got off that, then it was easy for me to do like little preps and stuff like that to stay lean and everything else. But before that, it was really difficult.
I bet. It's like imagine like your heart is not allowed or can't pump up more than 90 beats per minute and you're doing legs. What happens? You pass out?
That's the neat part, is what ends up happening, this is my prediction on it, and it's what has to happen, is your training response will be really neat. It's kind of like blood flow restrictive training, right? Oh. Because you end up with, so you'll get lactate accumulation very quickly. So over time, what ends up happening when you train like this is you'll get increased capillarization in the muscle. So the blood flow gets increased by blood volume, right?
Oh.
As opposed to pressure. And because you get that increased capillarization, I'm going to go a little science nerd here. It increases the number of parallel circuitry, so circuits that bifurcate or branch.
Yeah.
And when you do that, you drop the pressure needed, the resistance needed to get the blood through there, so you can actually have less pressure and still get the blood flow there. It's an adaptive response.
So you mean they block one of the two, or they multiply? Because you said the blood vessels, they've split in two.
Oh yeah.
You said the parallel one, so you mean that because you can't have a higher heart rate, they will double the more blood vessels?
Well,
or less?
So when blood vessels grow, this is my research area. So when blood vessels, when you undergo angiogenesis, which is the sprouting of new blood vessels from pre-existing ones, they come off on branch angles. And when they do that,
Like a tree.
exactly, it's fractals. Remember we talked about fractals?
Fractals,
So you get this fractal geometry that one thing becomes two becomes another.
Yeah.
It just keeps repeating itself, so it gets smaller
Yeah.
and smaller.
Yeah.
And the whole point behind it is this adaptive response is that when we increase those ones that are in series as opposed to, in parallel as opposed to series, they drop the amount of resistance in that network. So if you have lower pressure coming into the network, the flow can still increase without having to like increase pressure to get it to go through those pipes. Whereas if you have something in series, which is just a pipe that gets smaller and smaller and smaller over a span, you have to have a higher pressure down here to get through that resistance.
Yeah, because at the end there will be a lot of pressure on the...
You got it. Just like a hose when you put your thumb over the end of it, you're squeezing it.
Wow. So we're talking earlier about the blood sugars. So is there anything that we can... Because of course people will talk about insulin, but for people who are not crazy enough to take that, like, so this product here, Glyco HD, do you want to talk about it a little bit? I mean, like, all the ingredients here, like, what exactly happens? 'Cause it is a glucose disposal agent. And on the bottle here, it says nutrient partitioning, increase glucose uptake, and improve insulin sensitivity. So just these three things, like, what actually does it mean?
Yeah, so the whole idea behind the formulation of Glyco was to kind of hit a few targeted aspects of glucose regulation, I guess you'd call it. So some of the ingredients are what we call insulin mimetics, which basically mimic the effects of insulin. So it'd be like, a pseudo-insulin. Also, we've got ingredients in there that aid the pancreas and help it kind of, stay healthy. The pancreas is the beta cells in the pancreas are what release insulin so that we actually can take that blood glucose and drive it into the muscle.
It's like a liver HD, but for the pancreas, kind of.
Well, that's only part of it. And then the other one is there's agents in there to increase insulin sensitivity in the muscle cells so that we can actually drive more glycogen into the muscles. So the point behind it is to take advantage of, the fact that we have these mechanisms that bring insulin and glucose into the muscle as glycogen. We have compounds in there that support the pancreas in releasing that insulin, which is another issue that some people have. And then we also have other things like amylase in there to help with the absorption of carbohydrates. We have other compounds in there that help with blood lipids because we also know that triglycerides go up when we have blood glucose going up. So overall, the whole idea behind this Glyco was to help with, getting glucose out of the blood into the liver and into the muscle.
Yeah, liver,
where we store it as glycogen.
Yeah. So people, they take it before cheat meals, but why wouldn't you take it every day? Could you? Yeah, I mean, you can, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, you can take it every day.
So what would be the posology for that? Because what's the half-life of that? Would you have to take it twice a day? Could you? Because I think it says once a day.
Yeah, so it depends on the compound that's in there, but basically the whole point behind Glyco, you could take it multiple times a day. The issue with that is really cost, right?
Okay.
So for most people, what I recommend is for them to take it with their highest carbohydrate meal in the day.
Yeah.
Most people that are going to be taking Glyco as a performance enhancement agent will already have good insulin sensitivity, so they're really looking to take optimize that meal or optimize that post-workout period where they're trying to drive glycogen back in. Really important for those long, hard, leg days where you're doing cardio, legs, and then you have a big carb meal when you're done.
Yeah, so you could either take it with a big carb meal before a workout or a big carb meal after the workout.
Absolutely.
Those are good choices for it.
100. And actually, after you take it before, it's really good. I always recommend a good carb meal before a workout. A lot of people don't do that.
Yeah.
But, if you take it before, the ingredients are gonna drive you right through the post-workout period, right?
And yeah, true. And also, you'll have a great pump probably.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, that's cool. And then because we were talking about the supplement there, so before the workout, there's a lot of things you can take, including the Pre-G Ultra, and that's probably the best. All our products are pretty much the best in my opinion, but this product always sells out super quick. The Pre-G Ultra. Why is it people love it so much? Can you describe what's in there a little bit?
100%. Yeah. So really, I guess what really sets out Pre-HD from the rest of the products out there, or from most of the products out there, is the fact that we've kind of got, we got the pump agents in there, we've got those performance agents like beta-alanine and creatine and these kind of things at effective dosing. And then we got the whole mental drive thing going on in there. So we've got alpha GPC. You've got
the mushrooms in there.
We've got theobromine, which is a compound that's kind of similar to caffeine. We've got the pure calf in the ultra, but not in the elite, which is nice. We have the two different ones. And so what most people who take it, the reason why they like it is because they get that really good focus and drive, but then they also have all the performance enhancing agents that are in there too, combined with that. So it's kind of a standalone, one-off supplement. You take, 1 or 2 scoops and away you go.
Yeah, that's a good product. And I take personally the Elite just because I think just so I can drink more coffee because I love coffee so much. Because if I would take the Ultra, I would be able to afford to have a coffee post-workout. I actually have a coffee post-workout. Is that bad? I mean...
That's actually a really good way for glycogen recovery, believe it or not.
I was onto something.
Yeah,
so how...
You heard it first.
Yeah, how would that work, actually?
There's a lot of data showing that caffeine actually helps.
You know what's funny? I read that somewhere that somebody was taking like an actual capsule of caffeine after a workout with his
Yeah.
So the caffeine helps uptake some carbs.
Yep. It also releases glycogen from the liver when we're hungry, but so it's kind of has an interesting effect on glycogen, right?
Oh, there's a lot of stuff. So if you would imagine that. So you finish the workout, you have your big carb meal with Glyco HD whilst you sip your coffee, and then boom!
Well, or you just enjoy the effects of your Ultra.
Oh, after.
You already got the caffeine on board,
you're right. That's true.
You got that 6.5 hour half-life of caffeine, so...
Oh, so...
You got a while...
That's good to know. So 6 hours and a half of half-life, so you shouldn't really take Ultra in the evening. On paper. Not on paper.
You should not take it on paper. That's right. No, I mean, if you want to sleep well.
Yeah.
So at 3 o'clock, if you take 2 scoops of it, and you have 276.
At 9, there's half of it. So if 200.
Yeah, so you have 1 scoop still left in you.
Yeah, exactly.
So.
Damn. So that's good to know. That's why we have the Elite. That's a good option.
Elite's awesome, and it's nice too because you can mix if you like the caffeine kick, but you only want 1 scoop of Ultra.
Yeah,
1 scoop
I
of
did
Elite
that for a long time actually.
Yeah, that's what I do.
And one product I've been using every workout now, mainly for taste, but I know it does so many good things, is the grapefruit Intra HD.
Isn't the grapefruit awesome?
I know.
Oh my God.
I'm like,
so
as soon as they said this,
they're all good, but this one's
like,
awesome.
yeah, this one's really good. Because it mixes really well with the taste of the EAAs that sometimes it's kind of hard to hide.
Yeah.
Because they have this taste. I don't know what is it. Is it like a... What was it called, that taste the EAAs are? It's not tart, it's not sour.
No, it's kind of skanky.
Skanky?
That's the taste.
Yeah, but the grapefruit tartness, is that tart grapefruit?
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
It will...
Skanky.
No, like EAAs in general taste skanky.
Is that what smells weird? Because whenever you leave the shaker, I think it's the grapefruit that smells awful, but it...
No, it's not. It's the EAAs in there.
Probably
Yeah.
Probably because it's fermenting too.
Like the longer you leave it, the longer you leave it, EAAs start to taste skankier.
It's usually just the end of the day, but it's in there.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I hate this grapefruit.
No, I mix that right before my workout because there's some stuff like the Elite I would mix an hour and a half before. I don't care.
Yeah, it's fine.
But this, like, you gotta mix it right before. But yeah, so pretty much in there, I'll let you go over the formula real quick. But it's pretty my favorite product right now, to be honest.
Yeah, this is a pretty stacked intra workout product. It's got so the essential amino acids. 1 scoop has 5 grams, 2 scoops has 10 grams. Whole pile of data showing that if you get 5 to 10 grams of EAAs within the workout window or anytime actually throughout the day, it's enough to actually drive muscle protein synthesis. So that's kind of one of the great things about the product right off the bat. The EAAs we use in here are the best you can get. It's amino 9 from Compound Solutions. So it's a very, very high leucine enriched patented formula of fermented EAAs. Also in it, there's a good like 1,000 milligrams, like a gram of taurine per scoop. And so taurine plays 2 roles in this product. One, it's what we call an osmolyte. So it helps balance the fluid levels in and outside of cells. So very good for balancing hydration, which you want in intra-workout.
Yeah.
But also taurine, I guess you could call it primes the muscle for calcium release. And because of that, then we know that people who are taurine depleted end up having weak muscular responses, and when you replete that taurine, they actually have really good muscular responses. So we make sure that the taurine's in here so that throughout your workout you're never going into that depletion phase, so you actually can get those good muscle contractions.
Is it taurine they added Red Bull?
Yeah.
And
that's why, because it first came from ox bile.
Oh, ox bile, taurine. Taurine. Because Taurus, because like Taureau in French means a bull.
You just learned something today.
Yeah, I think I learned it but forgot it, then relearned it just now. I forget stuff.
Oh yeah, you're learning it all the time.
Yeah, I keep like forgetting and learning.
That's the best part.
Just always be learning, Like,
yeah, always forget, so that you're always learning.
Yeah. Yeah, that's good. That's cool though. So I love that.
It has Pico 2 in it, which is cool. Mushrooms, right? A mushroom blend. If people on here follow me, you'll know that I love mushrooms.
Oh yeah, well you have the Vibe.
Vibe mushrooms, yeah. We have Vibe Mushrooms, a company that actually makes the mushrooms that are commonly used in blends like this.
Yeah.
We'll be getting our mushrooms in our products very soon. So this Pico 2 mushroom blend's pretty cool because it's had some decent research behind it showing that it increases workout performance through decreasing fatigue resistance, so you get less fatigue during your workouts. Mm-hmm. It also increases oxygen utilization, which probably isn't used so much in the gym when we're pushing heavy weights, but when we're doing a lot of reps and running and doing anything else, cardio helps a lot with that. And then it's got both Spectra, and then it's got this coconut powder in it. The coconut powder gives us some electrolytes. The Spectra is really cool because it's a blend of like phytonutrients like berries and all that kind of stuff and vegetable matter. And the idea behind that is to give just a slight level of antioxidants to the body throughout the workout period. Now you don't want antioxidant levels to go through the roof. That's why there's no like vitamin C and all these kind of things in here. But you do want an underlying level of antioxidant going on, and this kind of just supports that. So.
Do we still have to start drinking it later in the workout? Is it still like that?
No, I mean, drink your. I usually recommend people drink their PhD 30, 45 minutes before they come into the gym. So mix it up at home while you're getting your bag together.
You're driving here.
Driving here, chug it back.
By the time you hit the weights,
you're good to go.
Yeah.
And then as soon as you go to hit the weights, after you're done warming up, put this into your shaker, 1 to 2 scoops.
And then you just slowly drink it.
And just drink it throughout the workout period.
I usually start drinking it like a 25% workout. For some reason, I like to do that.
Well, that's because your workouts are like 4 hours long, so you gotta.
No, they're not that long. I'm actually pretty. I have a good pace.
What are you talking about? Yeah, your workouts in the gym aren't that long, but I mean, then you go pose, and then you burn another 600 calories.
No, for sure, yeah. I do burn a lot of calories. I posed an hour yesterday, burned like 700 or something. I'm actually have to pose after this. We got time. So, yeah, it's pretty cool. So, let's go back more to the. Maybe what could help the people listening. So, I'm sure you'll say blood pressure, but what the main common mistake people will do when they're bodybuilders, that you don't feel or see, that they need to consciously check to make sure they're okay. Blood pressure.
Blood pressure is one of them, but check your meals.
Your meals.
Like, there's so many guys that are coming to me now with inflammatory issues, gut health issues, sleep issues, and they give me the same meals I was eating in the 90s, rice, ground beef, and then rice, chicken, and 3 pieces of broccoli. And then, a bunch of egg whites, and then a protein shake. And although these are all like kind of the main macros that we need to build muscle.
They're good, but it's like not enough to be healthy.
There's no micronutrition.
Micronutrition.
Yeah, so vitamins, minerals, these kind of things that we need to kind of have things functioning at that kind of that secret level that we can't see.
Yeah.
Yeah, we want those things to be operating properly.
So what? For me, I kind of know because what we added, like lots of fiber, even the chia seeds, the lot more vegetables.
A lot more fat.
All kinds of kimchi, sauerkraut, all kinds of like healthy fats and different sources of them, like walnut, almond butter, olive oil, avocado, and the egg yolk in the morning is also important to have a little bit of saturated, right? So, yeah, and then we got the berries, like I said. I got an apple and a banana too in my high days. So it's like a lot of stuff added to like, the thing is, eating healthy when you're prepping is a lot more entertaining than just eating rice and beef. It's actually easier, you know, to follow a healthy diet because it's more fun. There's more taste, more texture also, you know?
Absolutely. That's actually funny because as soon as I start working with these athletes and general population, coaching them, it's funny because I'll give them their diets, and as soon as they actually see their diet, they'll be like, I can't eat all this food. And I'll say, well, it's 1,000, 1,500 calories less than what you're eating when you came to see me.
I know.
Right? But the point is now it's you know, good stuff. It's, you know, a plate full of it. It's a lot of volume. And the micronutrition is like through the roof. It's easy to get macros. Like macros are, I can throw some rice and chicken on the plate. That's easy, right? the rest of it becomes kind of a little bit of a dance. See, you know, when Dorian's creating your diets, you can see it. Like it's very cool, right? Everything's a little bit different, you know. And then we interject with some healthy fats, and we put in like those healthy fibers, and everything kind of works together. So a lot of people will look at, say, for example, if they have high cholesterol, say, well, I got to cut out the eggs or I got to cut out these things. But actually what usually happens is the reason why cholesterol is dysregulated is because they've either got high blood sugar, low fiber diet, and inflammation, as well as liver issues. And so that's why I target those kind of areas first, and we clean things up in no time when that happens, right?
And you mentioned like a lot of people say that, oh, I can't eat all this food and have to diet. I think what they do usually is they don't eat all day and they will eat a day's worth at the end and snack all night. So that's why I can't eat all this food. Yeah, you can't eat it in the morning because you're not used to eating in the morning, or not used to eating every 2 or 3 hours. That's why they think they can't eat all this food.
They start late, yeah, totally. And that's one of the things. I actually just finished some diets for some guys, and I said, like, you guys got to start eating at 6 if you want to get all this food in, right?
Yeah.
And in the morning. And what ends up happening is a lot of people intermittent fast, but then they also, my daughter actually did this, and I was talking to her about it. They put together these meals that are very, very calorie dense, but small. So for example, my daughter was putting together, she was like trying to hit these targets, right? She said, oh yeah, 475 calories, I'm done. Perfect breakfast. And she had like a everything bagel with butter and some cheese on the side. Right?
Yeah,
right?
Good.
And so it sounded delicious, didn't it? Yeah. So I said to her, okay, let me do your breakfast tomorrow, and I'm gonna hit the exact same macros, right? And so then we started the next day, and we did 2 eggs, a bunch of egg whites, like a cup of egg whites, and then she had a massive bowl of oatmeal, berries on that oatmeal, flax in that oatmeal, and then we actually threw in a bunch of fruits on the side, and she still was barely hitting 475 calories.
And she's like,
and she could barely finish it.
I know, exactly.
Right.
So.
And when you get the meats in there, it gets even better, right? Because then you get into lunch, throw 4 ounces of meat on the plate, and half the people can barely get through the meat before they have to get through all the rest of the stuff. So it's, it works really well.
If just a quick question like that, just because I'm curious, like, so 4,000 calories of just chicken or 4,000 calories of just rice, what does it do differently? Because calories for calories, some people believe that sometimes, right?
Yeah.
So I don't think does the same thing at all.
Well, they don't. Like, so your blood glucose is not going to go up.
He's going to fucking go to shit with the rice. Right? That's true, yeah. I didn't think about that part.
Yeah, so if you're, well, I mean, there are places for that. So actually, I'll give you a good example. So when my kidneys failed, so when they were like, you're going on dialysis, I said, well, leave it to me. I'm not going on dialysis yet. I was trying to get a transplant before I have to go on dialysis.
Yeah.
Which I found out later on, that's pretty much impossible in Canada. They want you to be part of the dialysis club or whatever. So.
Oh, they do.
I don't know.
Is it because of the
conspiracy?
Yeah, somebody makes money. People make money off the dialysis.
You want to know what? There's not much money to be made on medicine. There's no amount of money to be. We're not making money doing dialysis. But
I guess not.
But the point is that like, I had to go on dialysis first. But what I did was before I went on dialysis. So my GFR I think was about 4. And my creatinine was just over 1,800, and urea was getting to like 30, so things were getting a little shaky. And so I started just eating sugar, because there's no nutrients in sugar except for calories, right?
So what easier for the body to
well, the kidneys didn't have to really do much.
They won't filter. Nothing to filter.
Yeah, there's no potassium or minerals or anything.
So what sugar would you eat? Like
Pop-Tarts, cornflakes, like any. That's when I realized that cereal, like as we know it, is actually literally like a flake of sugar with sugar on it.
It is.
It's unbelievable. Compressed like sugar.
I know.
Corn sugar with glucose on top.
Why is it so puffy and sugary?
Yeah.
Why is it so delicious?
Yeah, right now your mouth's watering. Yeah. So you can, and I held 180 pounds lean for like several months doing that.
That's weird.
Wild, eh?
Yeah.
Yeah. I also held that like on like 80 to 90 grams of protein a day, just really high carbs. So to get back to your question, eating just rice, you're going to end up, or just protein, you're going to end up with no micronutrition whatsoever. And especially if it's just chicken breast for your protein, then you're really in trouble because you have no fat.
I know that, I don't know if you know Jordan Peterson, right?
Yep.
He does like the steak thing. He only eats steak, and his daughter does the same thing. But they have like immunocompromised disease or something.
Yeah.
I don't know exactly what it's called, but it's like they're allergic to everything. So they found out that steak, and even his wife, she can only eat lamb. She found out that lamb is the thing that makes her react less. So they eat one item.
Pretty interesting, actually. It's funny, these elimination diets that are so like in vogue right now, because gut health is what dictates really at the end of the day how you're digesting things, how you feel, everything else with food. So a lot of people claim food allergies, but they actually have food sensitivities. And there's a big difference between the two.
So they're not allergic to food, they have a shit gut.
That's right. So they get these sensitivities to foods. And so the easiest way to get around that is not eat the foods that give you sensitivities. And when you really fuck things up with your guts, then eating meat is the only thing that feels decent. Because fiber gives you cramps and everything else. So it's really interesting because most people, when I fix their guts, we go from this like full elimination diet that they've been doing, trying to get things better, and we have to kind of rebuild the microbiota so that we can start eating the right things again. And so that's the biggest problem with these full elimination diets, where it's just like a carnivore diet.
Yeah.
Is that they feel good when they're on it. And then when they eat, say, a salad, they go into all-inclusive and eat a salad, they feel like they're going to die. So then they say, well, listen, after 6 months on the carnivore diet, I felt amazing. And then the minute I touched anything that had any fiber in it, I felt like I was going to die. Well, of course, because your microbiota has now developed into protein-loving microbiota, because you're not feeding it with fiber, which gives you the healthy microbiota, which release these things called short-chain fatty acids, which are what give you all the health effects of good, healthy gut.
So I guess with my multicolor diet, I'm like, my gut is like used to everything. So I'm really a real omnivore.
That's exactly why we created the diet.
We are omnivores as whatever kind of primate we are.
Yeah, we got a couple of canines. And the
we
rest
have
of them
everything,
yeah, exactly.
That's true.
So a lot of people use this whole idea that when we were cavemen, all we ate was meat. Yeah, we lived till we were fucking 15. I don't like using the whole like caveman analogies because it wasn't really a good time.
I think the cavemen probably ate whatever they found.
Oh, exactly.
So they found,
in the summertime, they were eating berries and shit because they weren't seeking out
in winter,
mountain lions.
They would eat like blubber and whale blubber and stuff and. So
we're really fortunate, right, in North America because we've got this abundance of imported foods as well as our own that we grow here. So really, we're spoiled, and the fact that we can say only eat grass-fed beef for your nutrition is really kind of a with nothing else is really kind of a spoiled way of looking at diet because really most of the world can't do that.
Yeah.
And because we live in North America, we have a big meat consumption as well as production, then it makes it quite possible. So, at the end of the day, people choose their own thing. I don't take a bias against anything, right?
Of course, it's like if people do carnivore diet, they actually feel good doing it. Go ahead.
Go ahead. Absolutely.
I mean,
if you come to me, I'm going to try and fix it up.
Fix the gut.
Yeah.
And so before fixing the gut, you have to destroy it. So what kind of like things and habits, products, drugs, or food people eat that messes up the gut? I've heard about Diet Coke. Is that true?
Yeah, so some of the chemical sweeteners have been proven to do things. Some have been proven not to do things to the gut. The consensus still is kind of blurry on that one. However, if you're using a lot of sucralose and whatnot over time, through your supplementation, through drinking Diet Coke, through all these things, obviously you want to keep the chemical sweeteners to a minimum. That's why we keep them to a minimum in the products that we have.
Yeah.
So that's one of them. But the main ones are overuse of antibiotics, which is really common in our North American medicine. Antibiotics, for obvious reasons, kill the bacteria in your gut. And
they kill all bacteria.
That's right.
Too bad you can't target.
Yeah, so usually I have people take like a really good probiotic when they're on any sort of antibiotic. Visbiome is the one that I promote. It's not, I get nothing from Visbiome. I should, because I sell a lot of it. I sell a lot of it, and it's really expensive. So, but Visbiome is the one I get people to take when they're on antibiotics. Proton pump inhibitors for Nexium and Prilosec, those kind of heartburn medications.
Oh.
Those are also, they wreak havoc on the gut. Zantac also
Tums?
does, not a PPI, but Tums, no, it's a calcium carbonate thing, so it's not so bad. But yeah, so
Zantac does it.
Yeah.
So Zantac, antibiotics, any food items that can mess it up.
Yeah, so alcohol is another one.
Alcohol.
That's super bad. Stress and lack of sleep, which go along with alcohol use. So we see kind of a little cascade that happens to those people. And then there's a number of different foods. If you limit your food types to one, like we were talking with carnivore diet, or to mainly one group, or you don't have diversity in your diet, then you can't expect diversity in your microbiota, those bacteria that help you with your gut. And that's why when you're talking about the colors, that's all. Those are all the polyphenols in the vegetables, and those polyphenols feed the gut microbiota that reside in your large intestine. And when we feed those microbiota, they release, like I just mentioned, short chain fatty acids, and those are what give us all those beneficial effects that we talk about, the gut-brain axis and inflammation.
Yeah, it's crazy because the gut, people don't realize, and I've heard that many times. I didn't read too much into it, but I thought it was really interesting, that a lot of mental illness can be cured in the gut.
A lot of mental illness is exacerbated by poor gut health, yes.
Yeah. So it's like, you wouldn't think about that, right?
Absolutely not, but we see it, it's interesting because you have to take a kind of a biopsychosocial model around the whole thing, because what we find is that people with, poor upbringings, stress, early stress in their life, everything else, end up having less diversity in their gut microbiota later on in life. And then that kind of perpetuates issues with mental health. But what we have is also mental health issues directly, the stress from mental health, also because of the way we have the vagus nerve and
chicken or the egg.
So it's I would say it's more of a snake eating its tail.
Oh, snake eating its tail, yeah.
Yeah.
A vicious circle.
Vicious circle.
Yeah. So how much time are we?
27.
27.
So it's been almost 50.
Yeah, we'll wrap it up. So I had another question. I mean, I have lots of questions. We're saying talk about that in the car. Lots of questions. But actually, I think we're good. I mean, we'll do another one when you come back, because now you live in the West Coast on an island. Seems looks very peaceful. Looks very healthy. And he actually said earlier, coming here in the GTA, like Toronto, whatever, it feels toxic compared to where I live. Man. So it's like when you're always used to something, you don't see the difference. It's like I wonder and we all know that being in touch with nature is actually very good for health, mental health, just connecting. Just do you do the grounding where you take your shoes off and walk in the grass?
My feet are too beat up for that. But I do get out for my cardio now on these loops, because we have this wild Pacific Trail that sits out beside our house. We have an entrance right onto it, and it's unbelievable. Looking through the rainforests and everything being just massive, trees that are as big around as.
Oh, so you have those trees where you live?
Oh yeah, we live in the rainforest. I have palm trees on my lot. We have our own beach. Oh yeah, man, it is like.
What is that place?
Like Tofino, yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
Where you go surfing.
Yeah, it's a full surf town.
Whoa.
Yeah.
So you have those big, are there sequoia trees? Is that what
we have a massive, we have sequoias, we have these massive, huge hemlocks and huge cedars, and Like I said, the cedar's like the cedar on our lot, or sorry, the Sitka. It's called a Sitka spruce on our lot has a trunk on it as big as this room around on it. We have this massive tree, you know.
Wow.
I don't want to fall on
How
our house.
old is that tree?
Well, that's the thing. The stories it could tell, right? Because we live on the graveyard of the Pacific where my house is. So it's 200 ships that have sunk just in front of my house, and they're
Back in the 1600s?
like
Could be.
everything from pirate ships right to like the
So
1900s.
could you dive and find like cool stuff?
Tons of stuff. And our little like spot where our beach is called the Passamalfort Place, which is our house is like 351 Passamalfort Place, right?
Cut that out.
Yeah, and it's just, they're never going to go there. They'll never make it. It's way too in the middle.
Yeah.
And it's really cool because it's named after this ship called the Passamalfort. I didn't know this when I bought the house, by the way. The story's actually on the trail that's beside my house, and the whole point was this ship. It got all off course on the way to like Seattle, and because Seattle's just just down the way from me, it's south, and it got blown off course, and it couldn't hear the lighthouse because the lighthouse had been blown over by a big wave or some stupid shit like that. But anyways, it hit the rocks in front of our house, and the story goes that although the crew, there's like 30 people who ever could see the shore because it's like maybe a couple hundred feet, the waves were so bad it was crashing them into the rocks so bad. So our beach is the one that everything kind of ended up on, and that's what they named the street after.
Oh, great. After a massive
shipwreck.
Mass shipwreck.
So there you go.
I can picture the bodies being swished in the rocks and the waves. And
oh, it's gnarly out there because it's all volcanic.
Bits.
So yeah, no, really, I mean, all joking aside, it's heavenly there, and I needed it. I needed to get away from the stress and
the noise.
The
Too much noise.
And you want to know what's neat? That's neat you said that because it's everything in life is about signal to noise ratio, right? Even when we do research, right, we want our signal to be like 4 times more than the noise, so we can actually see small differences in the signal. And in your life, if you look around, especially in Ontario, it's such a very busy place with a high population, high stress, that there's a hell of a lot more noise. We have light pollution, we have noise pollution, we have environmental pollution, we have toxic people.
Lots of like information coming at you.
Too much information coming at you that's noise. It doesn't do anything for us, right? No. And when you get out west to where we live, the noise is gone. The noise is like the sound of eagles making noises. So it becomes signal. And the ocean crashing, signal. When you look, it's big trees. Everything.
Less layers.
Less layers. So it's really neat that your signal goes up, your noise goes down. Then you become more creative. Your workouts are better. You have to build your own gym to do it, but
which is a cool thing. Yeah. So on that note, we're gonna end that. But all of your information is in the description, and anything you wanna promote. I mean, I know you started your Vibe Mushrooms brand with your partners there on the West Coast, right? Are they on the West Coast?
Yeah, everybody's on the West Coast. That was just a coincidence, by the way.
Oh,
everybody
really?
came from Ontario and moved out there around the same time. Yeah.
Yeah, so you can check out the Vibe Mushrooms on Instagram. And also with Team HD, you can actually hire Dwayne Jackson for yourself to get healthy and perform better. And I'm the living proof that it works. I've came from a 5th rehab, and then there was a little heart scare that I had, and then because of that, it forced me to change a lot of things. And with his help, I didn't only get healthier, I qualified for the Olympia. So if I can do that, starting from where I was, you can reach new heights from starting from where you are right now. So teamhdtraining.com, right? This is where we're at. And thank you. Thanks for everything.
Thank you, brother.
Not just the podcast, for everything. See you guys. Subscribe.